I'm keeping my pregnancy to myself because I don't know what to do about it, and I knew my fiancé wouldn't be happy with the news. My future sister-in-law, best friend, is the only other person who knew, as I only took the test at her suggestion and at her house. She also agreed that her brother was unlikely to be happy about it, but she felt like I should tell him immediately anyway. We kept arguing over it because I told her I needed time to process it, and she felt like I was making excuses to avoid telling him. In the end, she told him herself while we were having dinner with their family. He was so upset he confronted me in front of everybody, so now they all know and everyone is upset with me for keeping it from him. His sister kept trying to reach out and apologize after it happened, but I was ignoring her as her only excuse was that he was her brother, so she couldn't keep it from him, and that she gave me 3 weeks to tell him myself. The last time she called me, I was so upset that I answered and yelled at her. Then, in the heat of the moment, I uninvited her from the wedding and told her I would find a new bridesmaid. I've given my fiancé and his family another reason to be upset with me. Still, I've refused to let her come to the wedding even as a regular guest, despite them asking me to and it being important to them for her to attend. I never consulted my fiancé before I uninvited her, and now that he's made it clear he wants her there, I'm still refusing to let her come. Am I the idiot? You can't tell him you're pregnant, but you're going to marry him? Please explain why you all are getting married if you can't even have that conversation. Everyone's the idiot here. Am I the only one wanting to know how old these people are? I'm guessing 16 to 18 based on the level of maturity of gestures to all of it. I could understand 3 days, but not 3 weeks. I can understand sister-in-law for telling OP's fiancé at that point. She was thinking about her brother, but she should have done it one-on-one with her brother and not in front of the whole family. I don't understand why OP and fiancé even think about getting married, especially now, if he still wants to marry OP, when it's obvious they lack communication, trust, and respect in their relationship if they can't have a conversation. Sister-in-law announced it at a family dinner in front of everyone. She would have spoken to him directly if she was really concerned about her brother. This wasn't a concern, this was humiliation. Even if you think disclosure was appropriate, the situation makes it clear the sister was looking for maximum drama, and this wasn't about concern for her brother. Bonus points to sister-in-law for turning it into a family dinner drama. I don't blame sister-in-law. OP knew for 3 weeks and didn't have a conversation. She was going to avoid that conversation until she could use the "it's too late now" excuse. She's just mad at sister-in-law because she cornered her into taking the test OP knew was going to be positive. Is your fiancé the father? Just wondering why he would be upset and why you would avoid sharing something. OP, you are the idiot for everything. I wouldn't worry about the wedding because the marriage won't last. Fiancé probably wants to be child-free right now or forever. I don't care how close I am with my BFF. If she told me she'd known she was pregnant for 3 weeks and didn't tell my brother, I would tell too. It feels almost like tricking him into marriage if she's pregnant, but she doesn't tell him until the deal is done. Ugh, this is a mess. Yes, there's a difference between wanting kids in a few years and wanting kids right now. Maybe he's one of those let's get established and buy a house first types of people. Maybe he just started a grueling PhD program, or she's in school and he would have to take care of this baby alone for the next 4 years while she spends 90% of her time in school and training. 3 weeks is a long time when you're trying to decide what to do about a pregnancy. This leads me to believe it wasn't about making a decision. This is a train wreck. I, female 24, have a girlfriend, Hannah, 26. We were friends in college and reconnected and have been dating for around 7 months. A few days ago it was my cousin's wedding and everyone was allowed a +1, including myself. I asked Hannah if she wanted to go with me and she agreed. She's a huge social butterfly and loves big events. The venue is around a 2-hour drive from my home, so I made it clear to Hannah that we needed to leave in plenty of time not to be late. The ceremony started at 2 p.m, so I said we should aim to leave a little after 11 a.m. to allow for traffic and stop on the way if we needed to. Hannah is super into makeup and hair, and she took a very long time to get ready. When 10:30 a.m. rolled around, I gently reminded Hannah that we must leave soon to get there on time. She told me she was nearly done and not to worry. 10:50 rolls around and Hannah doesn't look anywhere near ready. I told her we really needed to leave soon and reminded her of what time it is. Hannah told me to chill and that she was nearly ready. Once it reached 11 a.m, Hannah still wasn't ready. I told her we needed to leave ASAP. Hannah told me to calm down and that she was nearly ready, She wasn't even dressed yet. I started getting panicky and told Hannah to please hurry up. Hannah got mad and said that she's told me she was nearly ready. By the time it was 11:20 a.m, Hannah still wasn't ready. I got really annoyed and told Hannah if she wasn't ready in 10 minutes I was leaving without her. I don't think she believed me. She just laughed and told me I was being silly. I ended up leaving without her because by 11:30 she was still in her PJs. I managed to get to the wedding on time, which was great. After the ceremony, I noticed Hannah blowing up my phone. I called her back and she immediately started screaming at me and said that I'm obsessed with being ridiculously early to things, and said that I need to be more understanding and that if I had waited 5 minutes she would have been ready. She said I'm a selfish jerk and need to evaluate my priorities. I wasn't able to get a word in before Hannah hung up the phone. Since then, Hannah has been ignoring me and I'm wondering if I was in the wrong. Not the idiot, she was selfish and disrespectful. You had a wedding to attend. You can't just show up late. You gave her plenty of advance notice and check-ins and she consistently laughed you off so she could lounge longer. Going to the wedding was not a priority for her. She's giving you a glimpse of your future with her. Is this someone you want to date? It's also a wedding. Isn't it etiquette to arrive around 30 minutes before the ceremony starts? The ceremony begins at 2, which is different from when you're meant to arrive. Consider this a warning by her. Do you want to deal with this time issue and her juvenile response to being left going forward? She had a whole extra 30 minutes. There is no excuse for not getting in the car. I say this as someone who has issues with time management. It's not fair to make someone else late for something important to them. So put on the outfit at the 10:50 warning and take your makeup and hairbrush to the car. She'd have 2 hours in the car to primp. I, 27 male, have been with my boyfriend 25 since I was 17 and he was 16. Since I met him, he's loved to cook and bake. As we were both broke teens saving for uni, he used to cook dinner for us and bake dessert at all of our early anniversaries. So when we got a house together last year, one of the things he wanted was a big kitchen, and that became one of our non-negotiable things while house hunting. Also, he's really close with his dad. His dad was the one who taught him how to cook. Over the past 9 months, his dad has gotten pretty ill and he's been going to see him often, and one of the things they decided to do was cook every dish they knew over the course of months, take pictures of every dish with one of those Polaroid-style cameras, and make a recipe book. Most of these were just generic dishes they made together, some with personal twists, but a few were dishes either his dad had made up or they had made up together. His dad also wrote personal notes to my boyfriend on each photo. Needless to say, this recipe book is very important to him and became even more special when his dad passed last month. When this happened, I was ready to give him time to grieve, start picking up more chores and take over the cooking, thinking he would want a break. But instead, he started cooking and baking like crazy, and he ended up cooking almost every recipe. I guess it was just his way of mourning his father. Over the past week, he's been getting better, talking about his feelings more. Yesterday, my brother, his wife and their 2 children, female toddler and preschooler, and his mother-in-law came over, and my boyfriend had made lunch and dessert. My brother's kids loved it, so my sister-in-law asked what it was called. My boyfriend explained that they were unique recipes that belonged to his dad, and then my sister-in-law asked if she could have them. My boyfriend said no, but was willing to make the dishes for her kids regularly. Her mother then chimed in and told my boyfriend that that wouldn't do and that he shouldn't be so selfish and share the recipes with the children. My boyfriend clearly got uncomfortable, so I got in between them and told them if they were going to be disrespectful to him, they would have to leave. They started saying I was being overdramatic and that they were just recipes. I told them they had sentimental meaning and that if he didn't want to give them to them, he didn't have to. They left with a huff. I later got a text from my brother asking what happened because what with his wife and mother-in-law were telling him didn't add up. I told him and he apologized for their action. After that, however, I got some messages from my sister-in-law saying how her kids won't eat their food anymore and only want to eat the recipes, and how I'm being cruel and starving 2 young children. I've just ignored them, but I have something gnawing at me, telling me that I should have handled it differently and that I'm the idiot. So, am I? Not the idiot. I don't really get why people get possessive about recipes, but each to their own. I got some messages from my sister-in-law saying how her kids won't eat their food anymore and only want to eat the recipes, and how I'm being cruel and starving 2 young children. I've heard some BS ways of guilt-tripping here, but this is easily in the top 10. LMAO. It shows how ridiculous the sister-in-law is. I would say manipulative, but that is too stupid to work. Ever. Recipes are a form of art to some. Some are shared and some are personal. You don't expect a painter just to give up a piece because people want it if it holds a personal meaning. Plus, people who think they're entitled to whatever they want can screw off. The minute sister-in-law and her mother started calling him ridiculous for not sharing the recipes, I would have been clear that the bad place would freeze over before I shared them. Your sister is a manipulative jerk, but of course her kids aren't going to starve if they don't get those recipes. She asked, he answered. Grown-ups accept the answer and move on. Your sister-in-law is being a jerk. Something tells me this isn't the only time she's behaved this way. And your boyfriend seems lovely and kind, and I'm so sorry his dad passed away. Life sucks sometimes. My fiancé, 41, is divorced. He shares custody of his tween and young child with his ex-wife. We've planned a vacation to a resort and I took care of all reservations and payment, but first I had to make absolutely sure he was free on that date. 3 days vacation. He gave me the okay to go ahead and proceed with the booking. 2 days before the vacation, his ex called him asking if he'd have the kids after she got into an accident and broke her leg. She took them immediately for the weekend. As soon as I saw them, I lost my temper with him. He said it was okay and he'd either take them with us or postpone. I had a huge argument with him, and he said that I was ruining the vacation with this reaction, but I told him that he ruined the vacation the minute he took his kids off his ex. I ended up going to stay with my friend after that. He's upset with my reaction, saying I'm judging him by his circumstance and making him feel bad for wanting to make sure his kids are taken care of. This has happened before. He's done this before and caused me to cancel a lot and cost me money and time off work as well. So, am I the idiot for telling my fiancé that he ruined our vacation? Are you an infant? His ex had an accident and he stepped up to take care of his children. Commendable. He gave you 2 options, bring the kids along or postpone the trip. Reasonable under the circumstances. Put your big girl panties on and stop pouting like a 2-year-old. You knew he came with children. You are the idiot. Exactly. The romantic getaway can wait until after a family emergency. Your boyfriend's ex broke her leg. I'm pretty sure she didn't do this on purpose and needed your boyfriend, the father of the 2 kids, to step up and take care of them. Sorry about your weekend plans, but his kids' needs do trump your solo weekend away. That is what vacation insurance is all about. In the meantime, have a good time with the kids and be proud of having a stand-up partner. OP shouldn't be with someone who has children. They're a package deal. Unexpected stuff can come up, and OP just seems to see this man's kids as a burden. I don't know what OP expected the fiancé to do. Say, screw the kids and go off to enjoy a vacation while their mom can't care for them. I hope the dad moves on. You are the idiot. He's a parent first. Date a man without kids. You're not cut out for it, clearly. I have 2 daughters, Chloe, 23, and Lorna, 19. My husband and I are fortunate enough to own 2 properties. We own our primary home in our rural hometown and a small 2-bedroom apartment in the city that's around a 3-hour drive away. We purchased the apartment around 5 years ago, intending to use it to have spontaneous weekends away. However, 2 years ago, Chloe got accepted into a university in that city. We decided to let Chloe stay in the apartment and we'd pay all the utilities. Chloe is still staying in the apartment and has another 2 years left of her degree. This year, Lorna got accepted into the same university, and she asked if she could stay in the apartment with Chloe. We didn't see why not and informed Chloe that her sister would join her. Chloe was really angry and said that we should have asked her if it was okay, and she said she needed her own space. We reminded Chloe that they'll be able to have their own bedrooms and that it's only a temporary arrangement until she graduates and finds a job. Chloe told us that's not the point. She said that she already uses the spare bedroom as her study room and that she doesn't want to live with Lorna. She said that Lorna is annoying and that she likes living on her own. My husband reminded Chloe that she was staying in the apartment for free, that Lorna had just as much right to be there as she did, and that they could figure out how not to get on each other's nerves. Lorna moved in at the start of the semester around 2 months ago. At first, it seemed to be going well. I regularly checked up on both Chloe and Lorna and they didn't mention any problems. Last week, Chloe called me and demanded that I kick Lorna out. She said she couldn't stand living with Lorna anymore and needed to have her own place. I asked Chloe what was going on, and she described very petty problems such as Lorna's room being messy, not having a study room, and not being able to play the TV on loud at night, etc. I told Chloe that that's the reality of living with other people, that she needs to learn how to compromise, and that we aren't kicking Lorna out. Chloe protested and said that she was living there first and implied that Lorna should live in dorms because she was younger. She kept talking over me and shouting into the phone when I was trying to explain that it would be unreasonable. I eventually lost my temper and told Chloe if she didn't like it, she could move out and pay rent and bills elsewhere. Chloe started crying and said that I should be more understanding, then hung up the phone. My husband thinks that Chloe is just acting like a brat and that we shouldn't entertain it, and that my response was fine. But Chloe has been ignoring my texts and calls and is upset by my comment, so I'm wondering if I was wrong. Not the idiot. Check in with Lorna. It must be a nightmare living with Chloe. Chloe lived in a 2-bedroom apartment independently without paying utilities and rent for the first 2 years. She should be grateful. The fair thing is to kick her out so Lorna gets the same experience. I'm not suggesting you do that, just highlight to Chloe that if anyone's missing out here, it's actually Lorna. Your husband is right, she's throwing a tantrum. Ignore her. This is no different than living in a dorm or other shared housing. Find a way to get along. She should be thankful she's got the ability to live somewhere free of rent and utilities. If she'd like to dictate who she lives with, she shouldn't live in someone else's home. TV noise? Bluetooth headphones and she can have them as loud as she wants. No study space? There are libraries for that. Messy room? Don't go in there. They are living there for free. They can have a maid every week if they throw in $50. I'd bet my last dollar that it's about losing the freedom to have overnight guests without the risk of being tattled on.